When Below Natural made this Discord message, he said that the hacker breaks her way into TDS tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is today, at least at the time of recording this video for me, 42 minutes past midnight. I had just come down from a train from Edinburgh. Yes, I'm still slightly drunk. Oh well, too bad. What Below Natural didn't do is make the date dynamic. So it says 3 PM here. It's 3 PM EST. If you were to translate that into BST or GMT, it would be 8 o'clock my time, 1900 or 7 o'clock PM UTC / GMT. Basically, the normal time for when updates occur. The Roblox event on the Tower Defense Simulator homepage is correct. This is when the Hacker Tower is meant to be released and when v1.67.0 is going to be released. Interestingly, given the fact that it goes from the 11th of June to the 25th of June for 2 weeks, we can assume that there's not going to be a mid-cycle update in the middle of it, like there was for the Walmart pass, although to be fair, I think the Walmart pass was kind of random and the developers didn't anticipate it because the Hacker Tower used to be v1.66.0 before being upped to v1.67.0. That's not the main point of this video. The main point here is that Below Natural has posted what appears to be a trailer-ish for the Hacker Tower. Mission Critical calling for support, obviously referring to the Hacker Tower. Now, for this trailer, there's not really much to say. It looks like Cyber City, this map, and in fact, all of the leaks for the Hacker Tower have been Cyber City, apart from actually the first gameplay leak of the Hacker Tower. Here, it's not on Cyber City. But the thumbnails, as seen here, this is Cyber City, so it makes sense why the developers would use Cyber City. Now, there's no music, it's just sound effects that are being played on this. However, here, what we can see is the scout being chased by what looks to be armoured enemies. Unusually here, the scout is holding what appears to be a briefcase. So, the scout not content with stealing from Please Donate Realm with its bag full of cash and nearly executing a nerd duck in violation actually of the Geneva Conventions, it's now thieving a briefcase which may belong to these armored enemies here. Now it looks like the scout is going to be the most problematic tower in Tower Defense Simulator history, given the fact that it's now committed probably a third crime at this point, stealing a briefcase from enemies. Additionally, some people pointed out that the scout could just shoot these armored enemies because it has a gun in its left hand. I mean, yeah, sure, but, you know, dramatic purposes for the trailer reveal. Yes, here you can see a drone that looks down upon the scout and the armored enemies. However, that's not really much of a leak. We only know that drones are going to be in the Hacker Tower reveal because drones can be seen on the thumbnail for the Roblox event, as seen here and as seen here. Maybe a slightly different type of drone than what was originally for the Hacker Tower back in 2019 or 2020, but drones nevertheless are going to be part of the Hacker Tower. Unfortunately, we don't know what the Hacker Tower's drones are going to be used for. I assume previously it was going to be something to do with boosting the range of towers or boosting some statistics of towers nearby to the Hacker Tower, similar to the Commander or the Digibooth back in the day. But here, there's some sort of implication that these drones are like killer drones, and they may bomb these armoured enemies chasing the scout. Who knows? In any case, it may seem like we have to charge the scout with another attempted burglary, because I don't know why it has a briefcase here. It was never part of any mission brief for the scout to be stealing any briefcases, so it looks like the scout has committed another crime. Now, an interesting theory is that the tower, the scout that's seen in the render footage, may not actually be the scout tower. No, it actually may be the Hacker Tower disguised as the scout, because one of the abilities of the Hacker Tower says that it instantly clones your strongest towers for unmatched DPS and utility. Now, while the scout doesn't really qualify for strongest tower in Tower Defense Simulator, it could explain why the Hacker Tower is seen with a briefcase, because this laptop used by the Hacker Tower kind of looks like a briefcase if you were to close it up. I mean, I'm not saying it is a briefcase, and it may not be actually the Hacker Tower, but could be a representation of the Hacker Tower. You never know. Now, from what Below Natural said on Discord, saying the hacker breaks her way into TDS tomorrow, firstly, a lot of people didn't know the fact that the Hacker Tower is presumed to be a female. I mean, if you can see its long hair here, yes, it is assumed that it's a her, it's a female. As we all know, on the Tower Defense Simulator wiki, we don't assume the genders of any towers. For all we know, the Hacker Tower could be transgender. It could be gay. Well, to be fair, I don't know. We're not assuming sexuality either, but still. Secondly, breaks her way into Tower Defense Simulator tomorrow. Now, that could be in reference to perhaps one of the attacks that the hacker may use in Tower Defense Simulator. However, that's not really confirmed. After all, the hacker breaks her way into Tower Defense Simulator. Perhaps it's just the implication that the hacker is breaking, as in breaking down the firewall, aka hacking. Then again though, any of its abilities mentioned here, mid-range aero effect tower that bounces foes back to spawn, siphons resources into your economy, and instantly clones your strongest tower for unmatched DPS and utility, I don't know. And in the trailer, it doesn't really seem like the drone here, or the footage seen here, fits with one of these descriptions. The only description that I can really think of is perhaps area of effect, but it says area of effect while bouncing foes back to spawn, which is what we got for this leak previously by Star Wars, which shows enemies kind of being hypnotized and then forcing them back to spawn. Although that being said, this hypnotized ability by the Hacker Tower doesn't seem to be aero effect. It could be the fact that this is like a level 0 Hacker Tower and later on it gets aero effect abilities, but currently right now it doesn't look like aero effect. Yes, there are 2 enemies that are affected by this Hypno Shroom like ability, but you can very clearly see it goes from the Fallen Squire to the Abnormal quite quickly before the Abnormal is abducted or hypnotized back to spawn. Also, it's very likely that there's going to be a Hacker Tower trailer that's going to be released 1 hour before the update, similar to the other towers in Tower Defense Simulator when they were first leaked, such as the Ace Pilot or the Pursuit. And even in recent updates, such as the Duck Revenge update and the Skill Tree update. So it's fairly assuming that the Hacker Tower will get its own trailer before its release, an hour before its release. Which isn't enough time for me to cover it in a separate video to the main update video, but I probably will cover it. Now, a common question that people ask is how much will the Hacker Tower cost? Firstly, we don't even know how much it will cost. Firstly, we don't know which currency the Hacker Tower will cost. We don't know if it will cost coins or if it will cost gems. It's assumed that it will cost gems purely because previously, when the Hacker Tower was first leaked, it was leaked alongside hardcore towers, such as the Engineer, which did end up being a hardcore tower, which cost gems, the Accelerator, which did cost gems, and the Mecha Base, which for a brief period of time did also cost gems. However, that was a while ago in 2020 before the overall update release, so we can't really assume with 100% certainty that the Hacker Tower will still cost gems because it's in the same league as the other hardcore gem towers. With that being said though, you will just have to look at the Evergreen Tower releases quite recently to realise, actually, most of them, they've not really cost coins, and if they have cost coins, they've actually been alongside a level requirement. The last tower that purely cost any coins to get was the Trapper Tower. The Merchant Base, when that was added, it used to cost 35,000 coins before that requirement was removed, but it still does have a level 150 requirement. Meanwhile, the Gatling Gun, that has a level 175 requirement, but that also costs 35,000 coins to buy. Meanwhile, the last Evergreen Tower to actually be added to the game, I mean other than the Gatling Gun, is the Brawler Tower, where when that was added, it actually cost hardcore gems as well. I mean, technically, you could also count the Necromancer as being a new Evergreen Tower, given the fact that it was moved from exclusive to hardcore, and it used to cost gems, and it still does cost gems. In fact, I think they've actually increased the gem cost for the Necromancer to 2,500 from when it was previously, which was 1,800. And given the fact that the game only has 4 hardcore towers, and hardcore towers are the only way to spend your gems, I'd pretty much assume that the Hacker Tower will also cost gems. Again, I am just assuming here, it could cost coins. I might be wrong, but I'm going to assume that it costs gems. How much gems? We don't know. It depends on how powerful the Hacker Tower is. Even if the Hacker Tower is slightly better than the Engineer Tower is currently, I think it will cost a very large amount of gems. The developers do know the average amount of gems that each player has, and I'm going to assume that they're going to have like a requirement. So for example, level 100 or so, they expect like people who are level 100 to have the Hacker Tower. So out of all the level 100 plus accounts in Tower Defense Simulator, they're probably just going to average out how many gems each person has, and then just add like a slight buffer to it. So for example, I have 15,000 gems. I'm going to assume that the average person in Tower Defense Simulator has like 10,000 gems. That assuming they are over level 100. So what the developers might do is they might set it to like 12,000 gems, which is quite a lot given the fact that the Engineer costs 4,500 gems. But I mean, given the fact that a lot of people have a lot of gems, I would assume it's going to be more than the Engineer. Again, I can't really presume that given the fact that the Brawler did actually cost less than the Accelerator and the Engineer, plus the Necromancer, but it all just depends on how powerful the Hacker Tower is, and we don't know how powerful it's going to be. If I had to guess how many gems that the Hacker Tower would cost, assuming the fact that it does cost gems, I would say about 6,000 or 7,000 gems. Again, it's a lot more than what the Engineer costs currently right now, which is 4,500 gems. But then if you compare that to the Accelerator, which costs 2,500 gems, and then when the Engineer was released, a lot of people said that that was a stark increase to what the Accelerator cost. I'm just going to assume that's the same for the Hacker Tower. I mean, also, the engineer has a level 60 requirement, while the accelerator has a level 50 requirement, and the Necromancer and the Brawler, they don't really have requirements, I don't think, because you can also get gems before level 50 via the Hidden Wave. And I mean, like, yeah, below level 30, you can't vote for Fallen Mode, but you can still play it. So in any case, I don't know if the developers would realise that the engineer actually has a level 60 requirement, and they might apply like a level 75 requirement for the Hacker Tower, or something even more, like maybe even level 200 requirements, who knows. In any case, we have just over 24 hours, at least at the time of recording this video, before the Hacker Tower is fully released to Tower Defense Simulator, and 12 hours when this video is actually released.